I'm Tamara Khanna from The Comet. We're here at Beta Records with Duffy. Hello. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm excited to be here. It looks so cool.
I know, it's a great space. I know that this is your first album since Rock Ferry.
Yes.
What did you learn last time for your debut, and how has this been a different kind of journey for you?
The first album came together over 4 years. I kind of felt as though I got lucky. I'd have a writing session on a weekend, another writing session 2 weeks later. It was kind of fly by the seat of your pants, really. There wasn't really any money. Life was kind of loose around that time, you know, it took 4 years, etc., etc. But on this experience, it was really full on. I've got something to say and I need to say it immediately. And I think it had been building up over quite a few years. I would be singing in front of 60,000 people and they would be singing back 10 songs. And I felt, we're here tonight for 10 songs. I didn't feel as though I'd earned it. It was an interesting space for me. And I remember very clearly after the first record, sitting down with somebody and them saying, you gotta do what you gotta do. And that's quite intimidating. That's where artistry becomes overwhelming. Artistry in every other sense of the word is beautiful and fulfilling, and I get to stand up proud on my own 2 feet. But when you really got to make something and it's got to represent you, you have to be very disciplined, I think.
During the first cycle of your first album, you talked a lot about sort of dealing with fame. It didn't happen overnight, but over the course of time, suddenly you're someplace else.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of information coming at you. I mean, you're on your press tour again, you're getting ready for another album cycle. How are you kind of mentally preparing for that level again?
I think I am a little bit of a control freak, perfectionist. So gratefully, I have something firmly to hold on to that doesn't distract me, which is the quality control of the music and everything to do with the music, whether it's my live show, anything that I execute creatively. And there's so much. I perform every day. There are music videos to be made. We do great photo shoots. So my mind really is firmly fixed on the creative world. Right now, you ask a child in school what they want and they want to be famous and they don't really know why. So for me, I think the ideal of that needs to shift a little.
What did you want to be when you were a little girl?
Well, I remember the first time I told somebody that I was going to be a famous singer. It was my stepsister. We were playing dolls in her bedroom and she laughed at me. And I must have only been 9. And when she laughed at me, I realized I was never going to tell anyone else again. Because I never wanted to be taken away from my reality. She was nearly blown away. How absurd. But I completely knew that I was going to do it. Or I was going to be recognized for this thing I so knew I belonged to. So I never told anyone else. I never ever shared it ever again with anyone until I got to the age of 21. The idea of belonging to something. So to me, fame was far removed from what I was looking for. I wanted to belong in a sonic environment. I didn't enjoy living in an introspective world. I needed to belong on some other format.
Interesting. You have such a unique voice. And some of the best singers in the world have very unique voices. I think it's really something that sets artists apart. When you first started out, what was the reaction to the fact that you have a different sound?
I did feel quite comforted knowing that, like it or not, you know, I know I have this unusual tinge, this unusual shade. So when it comes on the radio, I think people know it's me. So there isn't any fear that I'd be forgotten about because I knew that I couldn't be replaced. Call that cocky, but I knew that I had a different voice because I never fitted in. And I have confidence with that. I don't have confidence anywhere else, but I know who I am musically. Everything else in my life, I'm young, I make mistakes, I try to keep it together, but I know what I have to do musically.
What advice would you give to a 9-year-old girl that has the same dreams that you have?
I would tell her to focus on quality and be ruthless with quality, I think, to make sure that the music is the best that you could possibly make. It might not be the best in the world, but using the best of your means and being really honest with yourself. I know when the song isn't right, but I can convince myself that it's right. But I know when it's not finished and something isn't complete. And I just hope that quality is what young people look for in the work that they end up doing.
When an electrical current flows through the coil in one direction, magnetism forces the cone out. When the current flows in the opposite direction, it pulls the cone in. That in and out motion of the cone is what produces the sound.
Sweet.